Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Clubhouse Show, coming to you live from Doc's Grill at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. We are back with some of the greatest people in the world. They're back in their seats. They're ready to go. Mike LaValle, you're affectionately known around the world as Spanky, and just got done telling one of the greatest drinking stories around the world that I've ever heard in my life. And Mr. Meatball, Chris Stansbury, back again to endure all the stories and hopefully lead us on to a couple more good ones along the way.
Where are these great people that you say? I just see us.
I got to get to that. There's Julio and Fernando behind the table there getting all the technical things together, and we apologize for last week and not being able to get on, and it hurts us more than it hurts you because when you're all dressed up and no place to go, we had to stay here at the bar for another hour just to drown our sorrows that we couldn't be on. But we made it through, and here we are this week. In the baseball world, it seemed like it was a pretty boring couple of weeks, that there wasn't a whole lot going on. There's just enough to whet our chops, but I don't see anybody running away. I don't see anybody making the moves. I don't see any of these trades paying dividends to any of the teams that went out and made these major moves. The Detroit Tigers look like they have completely shit the bed since they got David Price, and he's the only one that's pitching decent. And then they lose two of their better players today, Anibal Sanchez and Joaquin Soria, that you can't trade for everybody, Spanky. Sometimes it's just better to just leave your team alone and go with what got you there.
Well, there's a couple ways of looking at things, and some teams, their philosophy is to mortgage everything of their future to win right now. I know that I've had some conversations with some of the Pirate fans out there that are a little disappointed that they didn't pick up, some guys. They picked up Marlon Byrd last year, Justin Morneau, that were very integral parts of them winning and getting to the playoffs. This year, so far, they've picked up Knicks. They've taken Michael Martinez from their minor league system. But other than that, they really haven't done anything of significance. There was some talk. But that's what goes on is Neil Huntington, the general manager of the Pirates, isn't willing to part with some of his best prospects in order to get a quick fix. And that's not the way they run their organizations. There's a number of organizations out there that are like that. But you've got the aggressive ones like Oakland. I think picking up John Lester was brilliant. Whether they're going to be able to keep him, I don't know. But he's had a couple of good starts for him.
He's proved his way himself.
And having Smarja there, Hamill there, you really got to take a look at this now, and you look at that team and you break it down to a 3-game series, 1-game playoff, something like that. I still think that the Tigers will be back. Getting Price, that solidifies things. I'd hate to go into a series, 4-game series, and have to face Verlander, Price, and Scherzer. They lost Anibal Sanchez, but that makes it even more important to where they picked up a David Price.
But their weakness, you saw what happened again today. David Price pitched another great game today, and the bullpen blows it again, and that's the Tigers' weakness. And you thought they went out and solidified their bullpen by getting Soria. Now he's hurt. Now who do they come back with? But in a couple more months, Jabba Chamberlain's beard's going to be so big he's not going to be able to lift his head up.
A couple months, Jabba keeps eating that spread.
I guarantee
they ain't going to get a uniform around his big fat ass.
There's 2 days of food in that beard someplace.
I thought I saw a waffle in there for the Sunday day game. It could have been a waffle. I'm not quite sure.
How about when he said he was going to stick his tongue out at Jeter when Jeter gave him the head nod, the helmet nod there, and he stuck his tongue out and you couldn't see it through the beard.
Well, guess what? I'd be afraid anytime he opens his mouth, I wouldn't want to get my hand anywhere close. He might eat it.
Yeah. Spanky, I'd like to see you in a beard like that. Could you grow one like that?
It'll be a little bit lighter. It's not going to be dark. Yeah, when I played, I had the back from my hockey days growing up in New Hampshire. I had the playoff beard. Every September, I grew a beard.
And so this was one like you were 11 or 12.
I started my first beard when I was 6. Okay. Yeah, and the whole hair on the nuts thing. Yeah, I was one of the guys in the shower that was a little proud of things, but hey.
And anybody wonders why I love you to death. I mean, if you just listen week in and week out, every week there's a new reminder of why I love this guy more than life itself. You're talking about the Pirates and what they didn't do, and they've gone on a tear and they've lost McCutchen. And that shows you what a good team that they do have. That new life they brought up. With the young outfielders and Harrison, the way he's playing, that's what wins championships. That new life that comes in and sparks the energy.
Well, and Clint Hurdle is the guy that really is the mastermind there that keeps all those guys together. He refuses to get down about anything. He and I share emails pretty much daily. And he's such a positive guy. He refuses to let a loss of McCutchen earlier in the season. Their pitching staff was terrible. There was nothing. In fact, one of his emails to me, and I hope Clint doesn't get mad, but I commended him for his patience. And he goes, well, I can't kill him. I says, well, you can kill 2, but you can't kill 3. So, but that was just, Clint, he's got that way about him where, look, here's our cards. This is what we're dealt with. We're going to play those cards as best as we can possibly, and I see it firsthand, and it starts in spring training. That's their mentality. They've wanted to change the culture in Pittsburgh, and again, I talk a lot about the Pirates, but I've seen it firsthand for the last 2 springs how much that culture's changed. How do you replace an MVP? Well, guess what, guys? That's why you have your belt loop, okay, with all those holes in it. You cinch it a little bit tighter. Okay, guess what? Yeah, we don't have Andrew McCutchen. What are we going to do? You think the other team that shows up that night, you think they're going to feel bad? Are they going to boo-hoo for you? Hell no, they're not going to boo. They're going to try to beat your ass. And so, how do you overcome that?
One of the favorite parts of the show with me and Mr. Meatball is getting Spanky flustered early so that the shit starts flying across the table. And the reason that we don't have Mr. McCutchen right now is due to an errant hit by pitch that smoked him right in the middle of his spine, and it definitely got him good. He went down on all fours and actually claimed that he hurt himself on the next swing where he had a sacrifice fly the next at bat, but. I think that Arizona was so wrong in hitting him that that doesn't make sense. That's when you have a team full of people that have not been there before, that they don't know what they're doing.
Well, and that is surprising in itself. You got a manager that was as hard-nosed guy as there ever was. He's been called a number of different things since this has happened. One thing that goes on out there is these organizations have, let's just see, methods of dealing with things. It is some of the organizations where you hit my guy, I'm going to hit your guy. The thought process is, you know what? I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I don't care. I'm going to hit your guy. Oh, so if you hit my stud, I'm going to hit your stud.
The Tony La Russa School of Baseball, who is now in Arizona.
And that's that's a way of a number of different teams use that. Back when we played, okay, it was if we thought it was intentional, then you took care of that. If you hit our leadoff guy, then your leadoff guy get hit. The problem I have was everything that happened afterwards to explain it, okay? And Randall Delgado and Miguel Montero are 2 of the biggest pussies, absolutely non-understanding son of a bitches that should be, okay, without a doubt, they should be suspended.
I think the wheels are starting to roll.
Okay,
folks.
yeah. You know what? And this is what pisses me off about it. It's not the why. Okay, I understand. Okay, if your philosophy is if it's an eye for an eye, Goldschmidt got hit the night before. It was by Frieri. Frieri's gone right now. He's down the pike. He can't throw strikes. He's gone with the Pirates. Okay, but he gets hit in the 9th inning. Number 1, Kurt Gibson. What are you putting your stud up there? Okay, what are you going to hit, a 5-run fucking home run? It's 9-4. Okay, why do you have Goldschmidt pinch hitting when it's 9-4? Okay, yeah, 9-5. Okay, I get it. Grand slam. Yeah, we get to tie it. Okay, but guess what, Gibby? You know what? Wrong for putting him up there, right there. Okay, that's the one thing. Okay, now, okay, having said that, now they decide the next day they're going to hit McCutchen. When's it happen? For me, okay, the way I believe, the way I was taught, okay, you know what? If you're going to, and that's your philosophy of your organization, whether I agree with it or not, okay, I'm going to hit him with the first pitch as first at bat. I don't care what the situation is. Now, it's easy because Arizona sucks. They're terrible. I mean, you know, somebody had mentioned, oh, you're going to use up your whole bullpen if your starter, gets tossed in the first. So what? You suck. Okay, you're 20 games under 500. You suck. You're terrible. Okay, so what's one more game taken in the butt? Okay, guess what? It just okay. So you lose your starting pitcher. Wait, I don't think that even happens. I think whoever started that game can go ahead, hit McCutchen with the first pitch. It's all said, done. That's it.
If they hit McCutchen with the first pitch, the first at bat, they're just going to give a warning.
Well,
you know what? The way it should be handled.
You know, I from what I understand, they gave both teams warnings to start with. Okay,
That's the worst rule ever.
Yeah, well, that's ignorance right there. I mean, why would you do something like that unless there was, too much, crap going on? So, I got my fight music going here, and I'm not. I'm just starting, believe me. Okay, so now, okay, Andrew McCutchen has got 3 at bats. He hasn't gotten hit. Okay, up comes McCutchen. They throw inside, almost hit him and miss. Okay, all right. You know what? You had your chance. Okay, your pitcher, okay, Delgado doesn't have enough balls to hit him in the back with the first pitch. Okay, now this is the one that really pissed me off. Okay, he throws a breaking ball down and away for the second pitch.
Right.
Okay, now the third pitch is the one that lands in his back. Okay, and my contention is this. Once you throw that breaking ball and then you come up and in again, you're looking to hurt somebody. This is how you can kill somebody. This is how you hit somebody in the head. I mean, 6 inches, okay, from the middle of your back to the back of your skull, okay, is not very, that's not a whole lot of room. Okay, we all know that, pitchers, okay, they'll miss by 6 inches. I don't care. The best control pitchers will do that. Okay, you know what? But guess what? Once you throw that breaking ball and then you hit him in the back, now you are a pussy forever.
Right.
Okay, and Montero, okay, he gives a sign like right after that. And the universal sign for a fastball is 1 straight down. He points 1 right at McCutchen. Okay, so guess what? Hurdle played it off. The Pirates played it off. But somewhere down the line, somebody's going to get hurt. And you know what? And that's a shameful thing, but too fucking bad.
And what my problem with it is that, let's face it, Kirk Gibson is getting fired. There is no way that Tony La Russa is coming into that organization and being like, yeah, Kirk Gibson, we really like what you've done going, what'd you say, 20 fucking games under 500. He's getting fired. He will have to pay no retribution. It's whoever, it's the Goldschmidts, it's whoever the manager is will have to suffer when someone goes on a suspension next year because, God, we know that that they're not making the postseason in Arizona. The Pittsburgh might, but they're not going to face him. So Gibson gets off scot-free on this. And, he's not going to be suspended, and he's in last place. And if he does, well, who gives a shit? But, yeah, that's the problem that I have is that whoever pays for these sins will not be the guy that ordered.
Yeah, there ought to be a built-in, double-size penalty for the teams that are out of the race that decide to get in these beanball wars with the teams that are in the races because they can't replace McCutchen.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, okay? If Arizona's their philosophy is an eye for an eye, I might not agree with it. Okay, but that seems that's what they do. Okay, I have a feeling that the Pirates are, the same way. They've hit 61 batters. They've been hit 61 times. Okay, I get it. Okay, but it's the how. Okay, once you throw that breaking ball to somebody and then come up and in, that to me that is uncalled for. I suspend the guys, both of them, for the rest of the season.
All right, we're gonna touch on this again, Spanky. We're gonna go to our first break of the night, and you're listening to us live from Doc's Clubhouse here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. We're gonna hand it over to the Meatball, and he's gonna give us a rundown of the scores that happened today in Major League Baseball. Meatball, take her away.
All right, guys, great to be back. Let's start off in the American League. Cleveland 4, the Yankees 1. Carlos Carrasco rejoined the Indians' rotation and went 5 scoreless innings as the Indians nearly shut out the Yankees. Jacoby Ellsbury hit a solo homer with 2 out in the bottom of the ninth to give the Yankees their only run. Carrasco had gone 0-12 in his last 17 starts since 2012. And our next score,
Hey, Meatball, one thing. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. By the way, that broke my streak for the cash on ESPN. So, Carrasco, you're a dick. Okay, go ahead.
And Merry Christmas, everybody. And the Detroit Tigers and the Toronto Blue Jays 5-5. They are still going in the bottom of the 17th. They do have 2 on and 1 out in that game as we speak, but no end in sight in Toronto. Texas 6, Houston 2. The Rangers broke a 7-game losing streak to the Astros as Nick Martinez went 5 solid innings, picked up his first win since May 24th. Adrian Beltre and Sin-Shu Chu homered to lead the Texas offense. Jose Altuve had 2 hits and his 49th multi-hit game of the season for the Astros. Boston 3, the Angels 1. Ruby De La Rosa went 7 innings with 1 run, 8 strikeouts to get the win. Yoenis Cespedes hit his 18th homer, a 3-run shot in the 8th to power the Red Sox offense. Mike Trout hit his 27th homer for the Angels in a losing effort. 3-2, Chicago over Tampa Bay Rays in the 12th. Anthony Rizzo hit a walk-off single in the 12th to salvage a game versus the Rays. Alex Cobb went 6 innings with 1 run and 6 Ks. Balfour gave up the lead on a triple to Chris Coghlan in the 7th. Travis Wood matched him and also went 6 innings, 1 run and 5 Ks for the Cubs. Over the National League, Cincinnati 7, Miami 2. Devin Mesoraco homered twice, including a grand slam. He drove in 6 runs to lead the Reds to a victory over the Marlins. Johnny Cueto went 8 innings and allowed only a solo homer to Giancarlo Stanton in the 1st and Casey McGee in the 4th. Cueto is now 14-6 and is 6-0 in his last 7 starts. Phillies 7, the Mets 6. Ryan Howard hit a walk-off single with 2 outs in the 9th as the Phillies come back to beat the Mets. Chase Utley was a double shy of the cycle. Lucas Duda and Travis d'Arnaud homered for the Mets. San Diego Padres 8, Pittsburgh 2. Tyson Ross gave up 2 in the 1st on a Gregory Polanco home run, but settled in to go 6 strong innings. Seth Smith had a bases-loaded triple to lead the way for the Padres. Minnesota 6, Oakland 1. Phil Hughes went 7 innings pitched with 7 Ks as the Twins beat the first-place Oakland Athletics. Brian Dozier hit his 20th home run, and Josh Willingham added a late home run to power the Twins' offense. Just final, Seattle 4, White Sox 2. Erasmo Ramirez went 4 1/3 scoreless, and the bullpen faltered but held up to beat the White Sox. The White Sox loaded the bases in the 9th but couldn't tie the game versus Fernando Rodney. In interleague play, St. Louis 8, Baltimore 3. Both starters struggled but settled in finally nice. Lance Lynn went 5 2/3, giving up 3 runs to get the win. The Cardinals had a season-high 17 hits, but 15 of them were singles. Peter Bourjos hit a 3-run homer in the 9th to blow the game wide open. Kansas City 7, San Francisco 4. Tim Lincecum was roughed up by allowing 6 runs in 3 1/3. Alex Gordon and Sal Perez both homered to pace the red-hot Royals. Danny Duffy was okay, but got the win allowing 4 runs in 6 2/3. The Royals have won 9 out of 10 and are a game out in the AL Central and currently hold the 2nd wildcard spot. Clayton Kershaw picked up his 14th win as the Dodgers beat the Milwaukee Brewers 5-1, and the Dodgers go on to win the series, and Kershaw now ties for the NL lead and wins. He went 8 strong, allowed only 1 run. A.J. Ellis hit a solo homer for the Dodgers. Also still going 3-3, Colorado and Arizona in the top of the 10th. And Sunday Night Baseball, Washington at Atlanta, Gio Gonzalez versus Alex Wood. That's a look around the scores and highlights for today in Major League Baseball. What else can we piss them off with?
Oh, it is good to be back after a 2-week layoff. You're listening to the Clubhouse Show, coming to you live from Doc's Grill here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. And I guess we could say welcome back to Father Flanagan's Corner Clubhouse Show or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We're going to get all the friendly stuff out of the way here quick because as in a dugout, as in a clubhouse, when you start talking about hit by pitches, everybody gets a little bit tougher. Everybody gets a few more beer muscles in their body, and that's when most of it shows up. I like guys. It's Spanky you play with. My favorite guy was Bob Forsch. He didn't need to look to the manager. He didn't need to go to see the guy that got hit. He quietly just went out there, rubbed that ball up, and just drilled you in the ribs with one of them four-seam fastballs that had that good spin on it that, you could tell when you get hit good. When the ball hits you and just drops, even when a guy gets hit by a line drive, if the ball just drops at his feet, that means he's absorbed the whole blow of the pitch or the hit. If it goes a different direction, it's a ricochet. It's a glancing blow, so it doesn't quite hurt as much. Forshee was the best at hitting that third rib up here, and the ball would just fall down to the ground. He would never say a word about it. And this is what's got to happen. But, answer me this, Spanky, too, is coincidentally, McCutchen gets hit by everybody. and you've said he's a great guy, and I believe it. He looks like he's a great guy. Is there something going on the field, outside the lines? Is he a shit talker? Is he a disturber? Is he the one? Is he causing stuff that he keeps getting hit? Because it can't be that he's the best player all the time. We've been in the game long enough that the one guy doesn't keep getting hit over and over. They usually switch it up.
Andrew's not at all like that. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. He doesn't bring anything upon himself. But I can tell you, one of my very best friends, super scout for the Orioles, Bruce Geeson, talked to me about he covered the Pirates and for the Orioles, and he watches them, and he saw them last year, saw them this year. I mean, obviously been watching them for a bit, looking for possible trades, possible situations where they can pick up somebody here or there. But he said the Pirates were the most effective pitching inside of all teams last year. And what goes with that is they're going to hit some hitters, okay? And I tell you, it's maybe you pick on Andrew McCutchen because they know that Andrew McCutchen's not going to come out there and pinch your head off. He's I'm not going to say he's frail, but he's not the biggest guy. I mean, it's like hitting the leadoff guy. A guy that can fly. He's got great power. It's not because of his, because he's huge and out muscles the ball. It's because he's got great technique and incredible hand strength. Okay, but you know what? Let's go ahead and hit McCutchen. He won't come out here, and maybe we'll stop.
That's another thing. Pretty soon he's got to go.
Well, it's the point now where
he's not that big of a guy, but he's got to go.
It's out of control. I know back in the day, if you hit the number 3 guy, number 4 guy, whether it's on purpose or not, one of the veteran pitchers, like AKA Bob Forsch, would take offense to that, and he'd hit the 3 or 4 guy. And it was just took it upon himself. You know what? I'm going to protect my guys. I understand that. Okay, but like you said, Forschy would pick up the ball, four-seam it, first pitch, right in the ribs. Okay, grab another ball. Okay, because that one had blood on it. Okay, and then go work his way out of the gym and throw a double play ball. Okay, that's the professional way of doing it. I remember facing Rick Russell, and Roosh was pitching for the Giants, and I had just missed a little over 3 months. It was like almost 3.5 months. Play at the plate, and I came back. First series back, we're playing the Giants. Okay, first game. Our good friend Donnie Robinson's pitching. I play against him, get a base hit. We end up hitting Will Clark that game. Okay, not intentional. It just we hit him. The second game I didn't start. They had a left-hander going, and we end up hitting Kevin Mitchell. Okay, so now the third game of the series, and Roosh is on the mound, and I get up to the plate, and he sails one about a foot over my head, and I'm going, all right, what the hell did I just miss? I know I missed something. There was a reason, okay, and I caught Big Daddy whenever he was with the Pirates. And so the next day we have a 4-game series. He's out in the outfield, and so I kind of just made my way over in batting practice. He was out, running, and I go, all right, so how'd you miss me? He goes, I forgot how fucking short you were. But I go, all right, thanks or whatever, but why? What happened? And he told me, he goes, well, yeah, Will got hit, Kevin got hit, and you were catching both games. So, and I go, no, I wasn't. He goes, oh, sorry. But I mean, it was. I know there was a reason why, and it wasn't going to be a bravado thing. It wasn't going to be stick your chest out and beat your fist against your chest and play Tarzan. He was going to pick up the ball and he was going to protect his players. I understand that. That's part of it. But right now, it's gotten to the point where everybody is so chippy about, getting hit. And you know what? Guess what? You ask a lot of old-time pitchers, what those elbow guards are. You know what they say? Oh, they're targets. Okay, I got something to aim at. Okay, I mean the guys are going to the plate with more gear on than the catchers. You look at a first base coach. If you ever go to a game, folks, This is one of the funniest things. Okay, you go down there and the guys go to hey Meepo, what's that movie that's out with Megatron and the what's that movie? Transformers. Okay, you get the first base coach. He's got more pads on him. He looks like a transformer down at first base coach. Okay, I mean it's just if your team has a long inning, throws 9 guys up there, you can't even see the first base coach. He's got more shit on him.
My favorite one is George Hendrick. George ain't going to hold on to that shit. When they come walking by, he gives it back to him. He's not going to look uncool coaching first base, one of the coolest ever. Getting back to Pirates, and then we're going to move on after that. But somebody has to have a talk with Charlie Morton because he hits a lot of people. Pitches inside more than anybody, but he hits a lot of people. And this is the National League. Why? Somebody's got to throw at Charlie Morton pretty soon.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and take your eye for an eye. You can't just keep hitting McCutcheon. Okay, that's just not right. There's nothing about that that's right. And I'm not into having Big Brother, the police officer, Bud Selig, come in or somebody like that and say, I'm gonna no. Let the players take care of it. But you're absolutely right. If a pitcher keeps hitting people, guess what? You drill his ass. What's he going to do? Hit somebody else? So he's already proved that he's done it. Put it into his mind, okay? And for me, that's a competitive thing. I don't want anybody getting hurt. But I tell you one thing, a bruise to me isn't hurt. And there's nothing wrong with sending a message of, look, you know what? Maybe this has to be the point where, if the Pirates, their philosophy is, I get a guy hit, I'm going to hit a guy. And if it's always the same pitcher, well, guess what? You got to have to go after him at some point.
Well, speaking of, you brought up the topic of injuries and the men of steel and the gear that they all wear and what guys are, you're going to be in a pennant race. And we both have been in pennant races. And it didn't matter if you had a cast on your foot. You couldn't wait to get to the ballpark and somehow try and get in the game and somehow try and help your team. Now, I'm looking at who's in the races right now, and I think it's come down to 5 teams are still fighting in each division for a playoff spot. Not the 3 teams that are the division leaders right now, but the wild card race. American League, you got the Angels and you've got KC that are leading everything, and then you've got Seattle, Toronto, and the Yankees all within 2.5 games. They're still in it. National League, you've got St. Louis and Pittsburgh leading the wild card. Giants, Atlanta, Cincinnati, all within 2.5. Those are the 10 teams that are still playing for a playoff berth. Now you look at these injuries and just showing up today, the Tigers losing those 2 guys. The Dodgers, Hanley Ramirez on the disabled list. The Rockies, they have the biggest bunch of losers going together right now because Cargo and Tulowitzki, they're hurt every other week. And they're complaining that they don't win, they're not in the playoffs. Well, guess what? If your star players are going to be hurt every 2 weeks, you're not going to win. The Angels lost Skaggs to have Tommy John surgery. That hurts. The Mets today, DeGrom has got to go back. They pulled him from a start. He's got to go see the team doctors. The Indians losing Murphy and Swisher. You're the Cleveland Indians. Murphy and Swisher, why are you going on the DL right now? Is it that bad? As you said, me and you don't know what that side muscle
oblique.
is. The oblique. Because
we weren't born with those.
We never had one. We were under the theory you can't pull fat, so we kept an extra couple of pounds on so we would not get hurt. But these guys come up with these injuries and they just walk right out. They walk off the mound. They walk out of the batter's box. They don't want to play. They don't have that fight, and that's why I think there's a lot of bad baseball being played these days.
Well, you know what, Dave? I'm going to agree with you, but let's agree to disagree on that. The trainers have so much power in baseball right now. They are basically going in, and I've seen it in spring training, where the trainer will go into the manager and say, look, you can have this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy is day-to-day. You can't have him for 2 days. This guy right here we're going to keep out a week. Once you go into the training staff, okay, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do their thing, okay? If they're not going to, and I tell you what they do, they don't take chances. They don't push the guys like we got pushed. It was basically you went into the trainer's room and say, it hurts. We'll take one of those. No, it really hurts. Well, then take 2. Okay? It's as simple as that. Okay? I remember Gene Gieselman, my first big league rub down by a trainer, and he had this green oil. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it was like baby oil and maybe some like a oregano. It just it was whatever. And he went and he threw it on my shoulder, and my elbow was scuffling at the time, and he threw it on my shoulder and elbow and just slapped it on, and he just whacked me in the back. Go get him, kid. And I was like, oh, okay. I was looking for a little more. Oh, by the way, where's the aspirin and everything else? I need a little extra something here. But back then that was you didn't go in the trainer's room unless you were really busted up. I mean, and that's just the way it was. I mean, you went in there to socialize, but I didn't want to have that TINS unit or that ultrasound machine on me ever, because you know what that did? Okay, that was just for me. It didn't do anything.
We weren't even allowed to socialize in there because it seemed like if the manager saw you in the training room, it meant you couldn't play. We wouldn't even hang out in there. And then, it used to be that old line: you can't make any money in the training room, and that was big time. And if a guy was going in for a cortisone shot, remember they pull the curtains down and turn the lights off. Like, it was a major thing. It was hidden if somebody was going to get a cortisone shot. So now it's walking. Hey, you need one? Yeah, I got a couple over here.
Hey, Porter, I remember I was one year. It was 1989. No, 1990. I got my knee drained and shot 5 times a year. Okay, once a month. After the first month of April, I was really struggling, and so I was begging the doctor to take this needle, which is about 6 inches long, and stick it into my knee, and I was wanting to sell tickets. Okay, because I mean, I had so many. I was a pincushion. I mean, they needles in and out. I mean, but they drained my knee, and I would look at guys' faces, and they would leave. They would turn just completely white and then leave. And I would just kind of mess with the doctor, and the doctor was great. Our orthopod, Jack Fela, was just fabulous. And I go, Jack, all right, let's ham and egg this one up a little bit, and just talk about it can't. I keep hitting the bone. Well, Spanky, it's not getting in the knee. And then I'd be laying there going, hey! It was just kind of fun. You watch guys just come in and almost get ready to pass out.
We're going to go off to another break now. We'll talk a little bit more about some training room stories when we get back. This is the Clubhouse Show. I am Dave LaPointe here with Mike LaValliere and Mr. Meatball. We're coming to you live from Doc's Grill here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. We're going to send it over to the Meatball now, and he's going to give us a rundown. I just stole his thunder a little bit, but give us a rundown of the standings and where we all look heading into the playoff race.
That's okay, Dave. You can steal whatever you want. We're going to start off in the American League, and all standings are as of this morning, so today's games have not gone into effect on the races. Starting in the American League, in the East, the Baltimore Orioles still lead the league by 6 games over the New York Yankees. The Toronto Blue Jays also tied for second, 6 games out. Tampa Bay Rays, 10 games out, and the Boston Red Sox bringing up the rear, 16 games out of first place in the AL East. And the Central, the Detroit Tigers are a game and a half above Kansas City, who won today. And as a last note, the Detroit Tigers were still playing, so that could actually be a half as we speak. But Kansas City has won 9 of 10, 7 in a row, all that good stuff, and have climbed themselves there back in the thick of things in the Central for the division. The Cleveland Indians, 6.5 games out, 1 game under 500. Next, the White Sox, 9 games out, and the last place Minnesota Twins, 12.5 games out after losing 4 in a row before today. The Oakland A's still continue to pace the American League West. They are a 4-game lead on the Angels. Angels are 20 games over 500, but still not good enough to be 4 games back. Seattle, 11 games out, 6 games over 500. Houston Astros, 23.5 games out, and your worst record in the American League, Texas Rangers, 27 games out of first place. Over the National League, the 2 teams that play tonight, the Washington Nationals, they are leading over the Atlanta Braves by 4.5 games. The Braves have lost 9 of 10 and are really, really, really struggling. Miami Marlins, they're 2 games under 500 and 6.5 out. The Mets, 8 games out. And in last place, the Phillies, 12 games out of first. In the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers, first place, 2.5 games out of the Pittsburgh Pirates, 3 games out of the Cardinals. The Reds are 6 out. And in last place, the Chicago Cubs, 15 games out. In the West, the Dodgers are starting to pull away a little bit. They are a 3.5 game lead over the Giants. The San Diego Padres, 11.5 out. Arizona, 14.5. And last place, also tied for the worst record in baseball, Colorado Rockies. A look at the AL wildcard situation. As we said, the division leaders, the Baltimore Orioles, the Detroit Tigers, and the Oakland A's. Your wildcard team, the home team, will be the Anaheim Angels as of right now, and the Kansas City Royals will be the second team. The Yankees are a game and a half out. Seattle Mariners, game and a half out. Toronto Blue Jays, game and a half out. Then we start getting over 5, and that's pretty much when it ends for those dreams in the American League wild card. In the National League, Washington, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers continue to lead their divisions. Your wild card game right now would be the home team Pittsburgh Pirates against the St. Louis Cardinals or the San Francisco Giants, both tied at a half game behind the Pirates. The Braves are 2.5, the Reds are 3, Miami 4.5, and then we go 6, 8 games. That's when you get to the Mets and the Padres. Not really going to happen in that way. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at My Clubhouse Show, at Dave LaPointe, at Spanky Catches, at Mr. Meatball Says. Give us your thoughts, comments. We'd love to hear from you. Guys?
And we are back. Look at those Kansas City Royals. Did any of you guys pick the Royals to be in the World Series?
Let me guess, you did.
As it may happen, I did say that the Kansas City Royals would be in the World Series against the Washington Nationals. Now that's going to get me on a topic that I might just get about as hot as Spanky did on some of the other ones. We were going to talk about it last week, but due to the technical difficulty, we couldn't. Bryce Harper, do yourself a favor if you're the Washington Nationals and send this kid down and wake him up. Because if he's got that much talent, if he is the superstar, why is he only hitting 254 with 4 home runs and 16 RBIs? I don't care how much time he's missed. His number should be better than that.
Yeah. I mean, 4 home runs and 16 RBIs. I mean, you've got better production from your backup middle infielders. Maybe not as many home runs, but I mean, 16 RBIs.
I think the pitcher Wood on the Cubs has better offensive numbers than that.
You know, it's pretty embarrassing to do the things that the young man has done. Yes, there's physical abilities out there, but obviously, you know what, that mind isn't connecting with the body. The mind is, there's something wrong there, that there's a disconnect where this young man, okay, that evidently, you know, plays hard. He was reprimanded earlier in the season by Matt Williams. But, you know, Matt Williams right now, as far as I'm concerned, he's just, you know, really kind of let this kid do whatever.
And when he came back from the injury, the kid wants to make out the lineup. You know, he's saying this will be a better lineup. You're going to bench Denard Span, who's probably the best player on the Nationals right now. You're just going to – here's a kid that's done nothing. Major League Baseball did not help this kid out last year by putting him in the home run derby contest. He did not belong there. He hasn't done anything yet. All right? We talk about that word prospect. It's a French word meaning you haven't done shit yet. All right? And that's what Bryce Harper is. And most of the good players, if you're a good player, if you're not putting up offensive categories, you're winning games other ways. You're playing good defense. You're using your legs. You're stealing bases. This kid gets thrown out at the wrong base once a week. You know, there's nobody there to take charge of him, it seems like.
Well, yeah, and just, you know, it's a team that they're winning. And that's what, to me, that's enabled him to get away with these things. I mean, they've got some good players there. Ian Desmond, their shortstop, fabulous. Jason Worth, who was their NL MVP for the month of July. You know, they've got some great starting pitching. Tanner Roark, you know, you've got...
Listen, Spank, listen. Isn't that a wonderful sound?
Wow. Outstanding.
You know what?
You know, Strasburg, I mean, you've got the makings there, but guess what? You know what? You're doing not only your organization, but a disservice to these kids, to this kid. You know what? Hey, it's time. Go ahead and send them down for a couple weeks. Let them ride on some buses. Let them get in AAA and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get that connecting flight through St. Louis to get to Omaha, wherever it is, and have a little dose of reality here, son. You know what? We need you as an organization. I'm a full believer. You know what? You don't throw them on the scrap pile, but guess what? Somebody needs to have an intervention with this young kid. I mean, last night. Okay, facing the Braves. Again, no love lost between the two organizations. I understand rivalry. I like it. Same division. They're going at it neck and neck. So Bryce Harper is walking up to home plate. And behind home plate in Atlanta, they've got the Atlanta logo. So what does Jack Wagon do? He drags his foot across their logo. Okay, you know what? Accident? No, it wasn't an accident to all of a sudden just drag your foot across the logo. Okay, hey, Bryce, you know what? Go hit a home run. If you want to piss the other team off, go hit a home run. Hit a single and turn it into a double. Okay, go ahead and take somebody out at second base. To scratch their logo out, I mean, I don't like it. I think it's a pretty bush league. But, if Bryce Harper hadn't done the things that he's done prior, people could just kind of like scoff at it. Well, it was an accident. But you know what? Bryce has brought this attention on himself. Is it marketing? Is this Dennis Rodman in the making? Why, Dennis Rodman, at least he backed the shit up.
Right.
If you're gonna, talk the talk, you better walk the walk. Barry Bonds, when he first came up, I was with Pittsburgh. He talked more shit than anybody I ever met. Well, he's close. He tied for first with about 20 guys. Okay, but Barry at the time, he was hitting 270. He was stealing maybe 15 bases, getting thrown out 30 times. Okay, he wasn't driving in runs. He was playing a very mediocre center field, and then Leland moved Barry over to left field and put Van Slyke in center. Bill Verdon got a hold of Barry Bonds in spring training, and to me that was one of the things that turned him around. Okay, now whenever Barry started putting up the numbers and became an MVP, talk all you want, pal, because you're backing it up. Bryce Harper, this is where you're missing the boat.
My issue with Harper is that they don't want to send him down, and they're like, okay, we need to protect him, but it's not like they need him. I mean, you take Ryan Zimmerman, you move Zimmerman back to left, which he thrived and hit well when he played left field. You put Anthony Rendon over at third base. You play Espinoza at second, and let's face it, four homers and 16 RBIs, Danny Espinoza can do that. I mean, and you don't have the headache. You get his head right because he is one of the future pieces in Washington. We can bitch all we want, but he is. But by getting his head right now, you could save 10 years down the road by sitting him down now, giving him that message. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that are great that have been sent to the minors. It's not that much of a slap in the face.
Well, I think if you look at the Nationals and the Tigers, they are the two best teams in baseball with managers that are a little bit out of their league right now. And maybe I'm not going to say
yes,
maybe they will be good managers or great managers down the road, but right now they're still getting their feet wet. And it's tough to get your feet wet when you have great teams like that every day they go out, they're expected to win, they know they're going to win, and then the manager will do something to prevent them from winning. And I think that's what's going on a lot with those two teams.
Well, you got two first-year guys, and guys that are good guys. But again, under fire, a lot of us, okay, can make some good calls on our couch, okay. All of us, I would have thrown that, or I should have called that, or he should have done this, or he should have done that. The manager, you know what? This is all about experience for these guys, and you hit the nail right on the head. These guys are having to gain this experience under fire with a proven team, okay, that has to win. And that right there, that's intimidating. If you're the manager,
name me the bench coach of both of those teams.
Lamont's one of the coaches. I don't know if he's
Lamont's in Detroit.
Is he the bench coach?
He was with Leland forever, both in Pittsburgh and Detroit.
Gino in Detroit. Okay.
I wonder how much he's leaning on him, because I watched that little roundtable with Torrey and LaRussa and Bobby Cox the other day, and their bench coaches were some of the greatest people in baseball. And
Gotcha.
You need them. And no matter how much you know about baseball, sometimes you need to be reminded about different situations and wake the manager up.
Yeah, and Gino was, he was one of the best guys that I played for. He was manager of the White Sox whenever I was there, manager of the year in 1993, and was let go in the middle of the '95 season and replaced with an idiot. So I know if I'm.
Would that have been Terry Bevington?
Terry Bevington, yeah. And I'm really in a good mood because idiot doesn't even begin to go where he was.
Randy Knorr is the bench coach.
It just.
Randy Knorr is the bench coach for the Nationals?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's look up that line and see how much experience Randy Knorr has. Randy Knorr is a backup catcher, I want to say, with Toronto quite a few years, bounced around to a couple good teams.
And again, it's there's some absolutely fabulous guys that have managed and coached in the big leagues that never played. Okay, but those guys are so far and few between. I mean, Jim Leland. Hey, he
Tony La Russa.
Jimmy would take batting practice, and it'd be like, "Would you play slow pitch softball? I mean, did you actually play pro ball? How bad could you be?
Was he a catcher?
Yeah, I don't know. He might have been, but I tell you one thing. Okay, him and like a bat in his hand. Oh no, that was not a pretty sight.
Who was fatter?
Huh?
Him or the bat? Who was fatter?
Oh yeah, no kidding.
The Marlboro.
Yeah, taking swings with a lucky in his hand. But no, and just but those guys are few and far between. These players nowadays, they're going to find out. Hey, what did this coach do? I don't know him. And I've had guys with the Pirates, that came up to me and go, yeah, I read about you last night. Oh yeah, okay. Well, you know what? It's sometimes about respect, and I don't know. Does Matty Williams have respect with Noor? Yeah, I absolutely think so. But does that translate, to what happens with his players? I don't know.
My wife pulled one out the other day. You ever watch, what was it, the Baseball Wives? And Matt Williams is on there with his wife. He's never going to make it.
Well, you guys are talking about this. I pulled up the Washington Nationals coaching staff, and it's when I say who's who, it's actually who's who question mark, because you don't know.
You're not sending away for autographs?
No. Matt Williams is your manager, obviously, great player. Your batting coach, Rick Shue.
Oh, Chooch.
Rick
Shue. Yeah, I played with Chooch in AAA with the Phillies. Yeah.
Steve McCaddy is your pitching coach.
Long-time Oakland A.
Tony Tarasco is the first base coach, famous for the Jeffrey Mayer home run with Baltimore. Bob Henley, the third base coach, and Randy Knorr is the bench coach. So
Bob Henley, I've never heard of.
Not a lot of star power here in your coaching staff that a player can look at and be like, hey, this is the way I did it in the big leagues for Bryce Harper. I mean, you do have Mike Rizzo, and you can kind of look at this and say, okay, did Mike Rizzo put together a staff of yes men? So Rizzo, they can answer to him. But at least up in Detroit, Ausmus has a lot of support from a lot of veterans.
As I said a long time ago about the St. Louis Cardinals, and I learned this from Tony La Russa, if you look at most of these major league staffs right now, everybody on their coaching staff is not a threat to take their job. And that's strategic planning. If you got a chance and hire a bunch of guys are never going to be manager, well, there's a lot less chance you're going to be fired, especially during the season. And I think that's the way a lot of them do it. I know a lot of the teams right now, the manager doesn't get to pick his own coaching staff. Lee Mazzilli is a good friend of mine. When he became manager of the Orioles, if he was there more than 1 year, then he got to maybe pick one or two guys. And I don't think that's right. If you're a manager in the big leagues, you should have all the guys you know and trust behind you. And then if you don't do it, fire all of them. But at least give this manager a chance. Let him have his guys and go out and win by, he became a manager because he did something right. Obviously, he knows something about baseball. Let's let him bring his own staff with him.
Yeah, the typical situation that they have right now is the manager picks his bench coach and his pitching coach. That's it. Okay? He gets to pick two guys. Okay? The pitching coach picks the bullpen coach, which is basically an assistant pitching coach right now. And when you look at that's five guys, okay, out of their staff. The rest of them come from the organization. And that's typically what takes place. Now, if Tony La Russa came back into baseball, he'd probably go and say, look, I'll pick my own guys. Jimmy Leland, same kind of thing. But basically that's what's happening is you're being handed, okay, your first base and your third base coach, okay, and your hitting coaches. Now, I want to know who my hitting coach is.
Yeah.
But I don't. How do I feel here? Do I want my guy to be my bench coach who he's got to have my back? Or, God, I want to have a hitting coach where, if I'm going to get fired, it's not because of some meathead that's into all these tricks and all this stuff. I want to know who my hitting coach is.
Or the new thing that they did with Dusty Baker. We're going to fire your hitting coach. We're not going to fire you, but we're going to fire one of your coaches. And what's Dusty Baker going to say? Well, if you fire him, you're going to fire me. And that's what happened to Dusty Baker. All right, we are the Clubhouse Show, coming to you live from Doc's Grill here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. Mike LaValle, Dave LaPointe, Chris Stansbury, bringing you the best talk we can, thinking like we're just in that clubhouse. We're going to send it over to the meatball right now, and he's going to give us a rundown on all the statistics of Major League Baseball. Chris, take her away.
All right, getting my beers backed up here is never a bad thing. We're going to start in the American League. Your batting average leader still Jose Altuve hitting .333 for the Astros. Robinson Cano second, .332. Michael Brantley putting together a fantastic season in Cleveland in third place with .324 average. Home run leader Jose Abreu still leading at 31. Nelson Cruz has 30. David Ortiz, Edwin Encarnacion, and Mike Trout all have 26. I think Trout hit his 27th today, so that will change. Your RBI leaders, Jose Abreu with 86, Mike Trout, David Ortiz, and Cabrera with 84. In the American League, your wins leaders, Corey Kluber, Max Scherzer, Rick Porcello, and Scott Kazmir all lead the league with 13 wins. King Felix, Jared Weaver, John Lester, Garrett Richards, Wei-Yin Chen of Baltimore, Sonny Gray, and Masahiro Tanaka are with 12 in second place. Your ERA leaders in the American League, Felix Hernandez, 197, Chris Sale, 214, John Lester, 244. Your saves leader, Greg Holland, with 33, and Fernando Rodney with 32. In the American League, your team leaders in runs, Oakland Athletics, are 572. Your team average leaders, Detroit Tigers, 273. And the home run leader, the Baltimore Orioles, at 147. Your ERA leader, the Seattle Mariners, at a 3.00 team ERA. Tampa Bay Rays still leading K's with a 1,032. Batting average against Seattle, 225. In the National League, still leading, the Spankers Crankers hit Troy Tulowitzki at 340. Justin Morneau in second place with 318. Jonathan Lucroy is hitting 312. The home run leader, Giancarlo Stanton, with 29. Anthony Rizzo has 25. Marlon Byrd has 22. Your RBI leader, Giancarlo Stanton, has 78. Adrian Gonzalez was 77. Ryan Howard has 71. Your wins leader in the National League, Adam Wainwright and Willie Peralta, both have 14. Johnny Cueto, Madison Bumgarner, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Clayton Kershaw have 13. Your ERA leader is Clayton Kershaw with 1.82. Johnny Cueto with 2.04, and Adam Wainwright 2.28. Saves leader Francisco Rodriguez and Trevor Rosenthal have 35 each. Your average, your runs, and your home run leader all belong to the Colorado Rockies. They are in last place, so those numbers don't mean shit. And the ERA, San Diego with 3.08. Strikeout leader, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 990, and batting average against 232, Cincinnati Reds. That's a look at the stat leaders. Like I said, send us your questions and comments. We would love to hear from you at My Clubhouse Show, at Dave LaPointe, at Spanky Catches, at Mr. Meatball Says. Hit us up on Twitter. We love to talk to you, fellas.
And we are back here at the Clubhouse Show, coming to you live from Doc's Grill. And I think we could probably start holding journalism classes and media conferences to think about some of the hardships you have to go through while announcing. And you just read that whole skit there being motorboat, you know, and it's outstanding how you kept your ground, you kept your cool. That's a professional right there.
You know, the first time she would have done it, I would have probably fallen over. Now that it's being the second or third, not that I'm getting used to it, but at least I know when she's coming. I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm just like, just read, just keep reading. That's all I got to do. I did most definitely try to sneak a feel. I'm not going to lie.
All right, let's go back somewhere in the sports world and get back to baseball. A team that is once again just pulling all stops to mess up. Why in the world are the Mets going to risk pitching Matt Harvey this year in a minor league game?
Completely idiotic.
Does that make any sense at all? I mean, what are you going to get out of it?
Unless you just want to see where he's at, he's going to throw a little bit. But to me, it's completely idiotic. You're 8 games out of the wild card. You have nowhere to go, and he is the face of the franchise. He and David Wright are the face of the franchise in New York. They have a potential to be good in a couple of years with the Mets. I don't know why you would even think about it.
You know, I've been a manager in the independent leagues for a long time, and that is the league where people come back from injuries. Tommy John surgery, the surgery that they have, you can actually start throwing 12 to 13 months. You are not ready to pitch in a game till 15 or 16 months. He cannot be close to that.
Why not wait for him to be ready opening
training,
day?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, he got hurt in spring training. It's a perfect timetable for the Mets. He can be ready to start spring training and be 100% for the entire season next year. Why would you risk that?
He's 7 months out from the surgery, and why? What's the sense? They're going to pitch him in a game. Why are you going to ruin that arm? Because of the Mets?
Yeah, you know what? There's no way of trying to read some of these people's minds. You know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you know, there's the thought process of, well, he needs to earn his money. Oh yeah, well guess what? Hang with him on that.
He's already earned his money. The amount of shirts and stuff they've sold that has Harvey on the back of it, he's already paid for his contract.
Exactly. I mean, this is.
I've always given Sandy Alderson. I've always thought he's one of the best general managers in baseball.
I mean,
he's told the line as a yes guy for Major League Baseball and working with C-League, but he's always put together good teams. Seems to know what he's doing. Why are you doing this? I mean, if you go out there 7 months and you're going to get him in the inning because he's getting itchy, what if he blows out in that one inning?
Yeah, it's just all of us that have come back from devastating injuries that have cost you 3 months or more. I had a play at the plate where I tore some knee ligaments, and I came back in 3.5 months. Well, you know what? If I was a base stealer, that was too soon. I wasn't a base stealer. Could I squat and throw? Yeah, absolutely. It never hurt my speed. I could come back from that. But if I was a guy that had to make my living at stealing bases, no, I probably needed more time. And I'm thankful that, I was able to come back whenever I did. But, I mean, whenever you're messing with a guy that's potentially, I mean, he's your number one guy. He's your anchor, okay, and it's not for, like, next year. It's for the next 7-10 years.
Right.
I mean, this is something that, those guys just don't, fall off of trees. Those guys, don't get drafted every year. Those are the guys that, you know what, you got to have a lot of things that go good for you, but you got to be a supreme talent. And if you're going to mess with that, you're almost daring, we'll call it daring the baseball gods. And you know what? That's the wrong thing to do.
I am on Facebook. I'm a member of the Wally Bachman for Manager fan club. And I think he'll be the greatest manager in the history of the New York Mets. When he gets up there, he's in AAA now. He's got Frankie Viola as his pitching coach. Frankie came back from the medical problems he had early in the year. And God, just to get Wally up there and do an interview with the New York press, it's just going to be so nice to watch. He's going to have his own fantasy reality show as the manager of the New York Mets, just with his post-game interviews.
I feel bad for YouTube because all of his shit won't be on there. If anybody, just go ahead to YouTube and just put Wally Bachman in, and you know what? Grab some popcorn, grab a couple beers, because it's going to be some of the funniest shit you've ever seen in your entire life. I played with Waldo in Pittsburgh for a little bit, and he was a guy that absolutely hated him on the other team. When he was with the Mets, oh my God, him and Dykstra, you hated him. You couldn't stand the little bastard, okay? But now, okay, that I played with him, it's like, oh yeah, he's one of my best buddies now. And I tell you what, he is he's intense. He knows the game. He plays the intensity to the max. And that's probably an understatement.
He had one of the best lines I've ever heard in any interview possible. When I was with the Phillies in spring training of '91, just a short time that I was there, but they had a cast of characters there. And Wally, and it was the time when Dykstra just came back from getting arrested in Mississippi for paying off his gambling dues with a check. His name was on the top and the bottom of it, but he paid off his gambling. So he comes walking into the clubhouse, and right on cue, Wally gets everybody. We're singing "No One to Hold Him, No One to Fold Him," And Dykstra, he's dead to the world. He has no idea what we're doing. So, of course, we go out, and all the media's there, and they're going to ask us questions about gambling. So they ask Wally. They go, do baseball players gamble on other sports besides football? And he said, if they took all the players out of the game that gambled on football, there'd be nobody left to play catch with Dale Murphy. Because Dale Murphy was the straightest guy in the history of baseball. And Wally would have quotes like this, like that, just not have to think about it. And, him and Gardenhire came up at the same time. And on the other team, we always had pools of how many times they were going to fake a bunt during the game, And both Gardenhire and Wally, at the same time you were playing, were probably 20 pounds less than you when you all stood next to each other, and now they are both heavier than you are. I think it's outstanding the way they feed these guys in baseball.
Well, you know what, Wally, and again, we talk about in the locker room, okay, the clubhouse. Okay, so this is probably one of the very best episodes that I've ever seen or witnessed. Happened in Pittsburgh, and Bruce Kiden was the editorialist. And Bruce, He was a little pointed with some of his comments, but he wrote a Sunday article, and in the article, this particular Sunday, wrote that he would rather have Ray Charles flying the team airplane than Wally Backman playing third base. Okay, so now, okay, we see this.
Was Ray a good fielder?
Yeah, well,
it's all instincts at third base, right? All instincts.
So now, of course, we're waiting for the press to come in. We're there for Sunday day game, and we're agitating Wally, and we're getting him fired up, and he doesn't need to.
Which took a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say. And then Bruce Kiden comes in the locker room, and Wally just all of a sudden just goes over, and there's no warning, there's no discussion, there's nothing, but going, and he just drops every swear that you could think of. I mean, fuck you, bald-headed mother, and everything, right? Well, in the meantime, we got chapel going on, just in the next room over, and so we're all going, yeah, I bet you they're appreciating that during chapel, because Wally is screaming from the top of his lungs. His have you ever seen Wally? Okay, I mean, this is live. I mean, he's got veins popping out everywhere. He is completely losing this on Kiden, and Kiden doesn't move. And I was just like, wow, I don't know which one I was more impressed. Was the guy that's not moving, or Wally just letting him have it? And I asked one of the guys afterwards about chapel, and the pastor just says, "Hey guys, let's just put our heads down and pray."
One time I asked Wally if fuck and cocksucker were tattooed on his mother's breast, because he started saying them at such a young age that he was taught very well very early. So you always wonder about Wally Backman, but there's just one of the classics. And when he becomes manager of the Mets, I'm going to finally go back to baseball games and start watching again.
Absolutely.
And as Meatball does, here's a good segue to get out of that conversation a little bit, but he just threw a little stat sheet in front of me, and Peter Borges, the reserve center fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, who plays about once a week, he has 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. What is Bryce Harper has 4 home runs and 16 RBIs? How much are we paying Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper now is going to be the picture of the representative of Rawlings gloves. Is that the guy you want representing a company like that?
Nope. You see me go down the Bryce Harper path.
How about if Bryce Harper was on the same team with Wally Backman as the manager right now? Do you think there'd be some conversations?
A little bit of red ass.
All I can think of Wally, just get your fucking ass over here. Yeah, that's Wally. I mean, but that's that's a way, and but it's probably kept him from the big leagues. I mean, because you know what, I don't know if there's anybody that is as passionate, but Wally gets fired, and he knows the game, and it's not like he's just a hothead. I mean, here's a guy that knows the game. He knew how to play it, but he demands a lot out of his players, and as a player,
state wrestling champ in Oregon.
As a player, you want to play for that guy because there's passion there.
Right.
He's like, hey, this guy cares about what we're doing. So hey, I'm all for it. In fact, I wouldn't hesitate to fly, up to Citi Field, for Wally's debut. That's how much I would enjoy it, and I would buy a ticket right by the dugout. I would have a disguise on, and I'd do nothing but agitate him the whole game to see if we can get him to go off.
How about we just do our show in the city that Wally Backman is in, and just have him as a guest every once in a while? What I love about Wally, and you can go on YouTube and watch every one of his blow-ups as a manager, and if you, in Spanky, you have, when you're in these meetings, you do not want to have eye contact with the manager when he's about ready to blow up in there. And my favorite thing is watching in the background the pitcher coach and the hitting coach just looking at their chart for like the 15 minutes that Wally's, they're looking at anything but him. And me with Damian Rolls, it's not easy to snap in one of those meetings. You start swearing. These guys are watching every move you make, and if you screw up in your meeting, they're going to imitate you the next day, and then you become the meeting. And I have never seen Wally mess up in one of these meetings. He just goes off, almost like that guy. Who was the guy for Texas, the university there? They lost the game like 4-3. and this guy had a speech like they got beat like 27-0.
Was it Augie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you get to watch that one, Wally is right in line for that. They're maybe the two best baseball speeches that I've ever heard. All right, we're gonna go away from the Wally Backman Hour right here, and we're gonna go to a break with Mr. Meatball. Going to talk about the schedule and the games that are coming up and the matchups we're going to see heading into this second week of August. Meatball, it's all yours, baby.
As Spanky says, he does want to fly to New York. I just hope that he does not have Ray Charles flying the plane for him. I hope that was just a joke. But let's take a look at the schedule. The schedule kicks off on Monday with 11 games throughout the MLB. We start in the American League as the Yankees head to Baltimore for a huge series with the Orioles. Playoff contention on the line for the Yankees as they're trying to creep back into the wild card. Tampa Bay Rays are in Arlington to take on the last place Rangers. First place A's are in Kansas City. Two great matchups there, right? Two great teams right there matching up in KC. Minnesota's in Houston for a basement battle, and Toronto is at Seattle. In the National League, the Mets finish up another wraparound series. They have a day game with Philly. The Dodgers are in Atlanta. The Cardinals are in South Beach to face the Marlins. The Brewers are at the Cubs. The Colorado is at San Diego. And in interleague play, the first-place Tigers are in Pittsburgh with playoff implications to face the Pirates. On Tuesday, we pick up the rest of the Major League schedule. In the National League, the Nationals head to Queens to face the Mets. Then a large interleague slate as the Diamondbacks are in Cleveland. The Red Sox are in Cincinnati. The Phillies are in Anaheim to take on the Red Hot Angels. And the White Sox are in San Francisco. Later on this weekend in the American League, the Orioles are in Cleveland. Seattle is in Detroit. The Astros are at Fenway and facing the Red Sox. The Yankees are in St. Pete to battle the Rays. The Angels are at the Rangers. The Blue Jays are at the White Sox. And Kansas City is in Minnesota. In the senior circuit, the Pittsburgh Pirates are in Washington, D.C. to take on the Nationals. The Cubs are at the Mets. The Diamondbacks are in Miami. The Padres head to St. Louis. The Reds are in Colorado. The Brewers are at the Dodgers. And the Phillies are in San Francisco. In interleague play this weekend, the Oakland A's are in Atlanta to take on the Braves. Tough trip for Oakland as they get two teams battling it out for the playoffs. As always, at My Clubhouse Show, at Dave LaPointe, at Spanky Catches, at Mr. Meatball Says on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Go to the website. Listen to our old shows. Go to YouTube. Listen to our old shows. Do all the things that will make us better and get to more people. We love you guys. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions, thoughts, comments. Fellas, back to you.
We are back with the Clubhouse Show. Dave LaPointe, Mike LaValliere, Chris Stansbury, Mr. Meatball. Behind the window, Julio and Fernando just having a good old time over there. And once again, I don't see any drinks in front of them, so this was a bad weekend heading into the show. They're nursing again, but we have to watch those guys and try and keep them on target with us. But speaking of the social media, if you are out there listening, and I know we got a bunch of followers right now, send us in your greatest Wally Backman quotes, Wally Backman arguments, any other great arguments that you've ever been involved in. That's why I always thought catchers made greater managers, because they've heard every argument that's out there.
It was an absolute joy, a pleasure to play with Wally, but playing for Jim Leyland for 6 years, okay, everybody knows Jimmy is a great tactician, okay, but not everybody knows about the guy in the locker room. Okay, here's a guy that is all about the player's manager, but perhaps the very best snapper, okay, as a manager. I've never seen Wally in action as a manager, but Jim Leyland, okay, was one of the very best. I got a couple of really nice stories I want to share with Leyland going off in the locker room. Okay, and Jimmy had, let's just say that he was had some booster rockets, where once the first phase burnt off, okay, he had more phases, like a Saturn V rocket.
He was storing up the energy from the heaters he was smoking in between innings.
The first time he went off on us, I became a member of the Pirates in '87, and he went off on us, and we were getting ready. Like after the manager yells and screams at you, and all this other stuff, then everybody starts undressing. Well, Jimmy comes out of his locker room. Okay, so you got half the guys, that are half undressed now, and he starts screaming again. Okay, so now he's reading us the riot act. We deserved it, and we're playing like shit, and so he goes back in his locker room. So now definitely he wouldn't come back out again. So now, okay, now he comes out again. Okay, and everybody's pretty much naked, ready to go in the shower. Well, now he starts screaming at you, and you feel a little different when you're completely naked whenever the manager's screaming at you. So now you guys got guys scuffling, trying to find shirts, towels, whatever. I mean, you're just hanging there literally, okay? And so the manager's screaming at you, okay? So, but that was, Jimmy's thing. He had that delayed fuse where he had a couple of different. He'd go in his office, slam it, okay, and then he'd come back out. We had gotten Kirk Gibson, and so the first time, Gibby's there only a week, and Jimmy goes out, and the same thing. Jimmy starts off, and he's screaming, yelling, blah, 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 and Gibby's heard it. We all, keep our head down because some of the times you get the giggles, and you can't ever
get
the...
You can't look at them.
You can't look... You're right. You can't get the giggles whenever the manager's going off. That's a bad thing, okay? Yeah, you're in the serious doghouse after that. But so Gibby's right next to me, so Leland goes back in his office, slams the door, okay? Gibby starts getting undressed. I go, hey, Gibby, he's not done yet. What? What are you talking about? No, he's going to come out again. Really? Okay, so Gibby sits down, and as a minute later, here comes Hump out there to scream and yell again. And you get to know your manager, and by that time I had already played for him 3-4 years, so I kind of got the reading on what he was trying to accomplish by screaming at us. So then he goes into his office the second time, and I go, yeah, we're good. He's only going to get 2 of them in tonight. There's no way he's going to go 3 or 4. But Jimmy, he'd been known to go in. I don't know if he was going in to get a puff off of his ciggy butt or whatever it was, but he'd go in his office. Another time, and this is probably the funniest and the toughest one that I ever went through, is we're playing lousy, and Leland comes out, and he just vocal, screaming, yelling. Occasionally he'd get physical where he'd break something. In Montreal he broke some plates that went all over the spread. The spread was horseshit anyway, so who cared? In San Francisco he knocked over Harvey's spread. Right, this on
That's
getaway day.
There.
On getaway day.
Oh man!
Right? And you're talking like 25 guys just started crying. It's like, oh my God, we're going to go all the way back to Pittsburgh. Okay, we got nothing to eat. Okay, we're going to have plain food, and we got Harvey who's making us these homemade enchiladas and all these things. So he get physical. Well, one time in Pittsburgh, he kicks a coffee table, and I'm right next to it. We're playing cards. He kicks the coffee table, and a big giant spit cup goes up in the air and lands on the side of my head. So now I've got like tobacco spit going down the side of my face, and now I get the giggles. And I can't help it. And Leland, at that point, I think he got the giggles too because he quit right there. But I ended up fining him for doing that to me. But it's just it's you see it in the locker room, and and it's fun. Out on the field. Oh, that gets hilarious.
You might not remember half of the games you played in your career. You remember every one of these meetings that ever happened in the clubhouse. When we had with the Giants, we had Jim Davenport, who was a great third base coach. He was just a terrible manager. And when he'd have his meetings, he liked to say the word certainly. So now you catch on to it about the second time. I certainly think we're going to play better baseball. We're certainly better than we're showing right now. Well, of course, Kruko gets wind of this. Well, now we got the pool going. There's 12 pitchers now that we got a pool. We got $100 in a piece of how many times he's going to say certainly during this next team meeting. All right? So we're in St. Louis, and we've already had a bad trip. We've had 2 fights on the plane. We've had a fight in the clubhouse. It's not going good. But we got this pool going, and everybody's ready to win, $1,200. So he starts off, and about 2 minutes into it, he's already said certainly like 25 times. And I certainly think we're better than the Cardinals. You hear a guy in the background going, yes! I had 25. It got up to 37 certainlys in this one meeting. And I remember, I think Scott Garrelts is the one that won the pool, but it was just funnier and shit that everybody's in the background going, trying to egg the meeting on, so we say certainly a few more times. That's the one, and we had to fight in the clubhouse because we had Scott Garrelts was a good relief pitcher, but he looked like the guy on the commercial with the ridiculous nose and glasses. You know, the big nose and the mustache and the big black horn glasses. Well, Frank Williams on the team, he found a photo in a magazine that everybody in the family, including the sheepdog, had on the ridiculous nose and glasses. So Frank comes in and he sticks them on everybody's locker. From the Garelts family, have a great season. Signed, Scott Garelts. So now Garelts is pissed off. He doesn't like this thing that's being painted about him. So we get on the plane, and Kruko's strapped in the seat. He's playing cards, and Garelts the whole time thinks that Kruko's the one to put up the pictures. So we get on the plane now, and Chili Davis had gotten the ridiculous nose and glasses and given them to the flight crew. So now we got the pilot, the co-pilot, and all the stewardesses. Flight attendants have got these ridiculous notes. Well, Garelts snaps, and he goes up and he just starts choking Kruko to death in his seat on the plane. and Kruko finally, it was one of those ones, he had nothing to do with it, but he's being choked to death, you know. Reminds me of another story when Billy Connors, I don't know if you knew this about him, but Billy Connors was allergic to milk. As a baby, his mother gave him sour milk, and he developed an allergy to it, and if he ever saw milk around him coming out of your mouth, he would throw up instantly. So they used to, sometimes during the game, they would put, if they knew Billy was going to come out to the mound, say if Nettles was playing third base or somebody like that, Billy'd be walking out to talk to the pitcher. Well, he'd put a Malox in and just start chewing it. By the time Billy got there, it'd be drooling off the side of their face, and Billy would start gagging on the field when he was talking to the pitcher. Well, Billy, we call him Buddha. Billy was, he was a pickle under 350. And so he got strapped into his seat. He'd eat his meal, put his dip in, and start playing cards. Sure enough, 3 pitchers would come up, and they would just start drooling milk, and he would just throw up all over the card game. These are the things you miss about baseball. Why can't we have these in everyday life?
You know what? They happen in everyday life, but people get arrested for that shit. Yeah, we're a special kind of breed, though. Baseball and a lot of folks don't understand our humor, and we're fairly cruel to each other. But I've got a valid defense. Okay, it's insanity. Anytime, okay, that you will have one of the greatest careers ever if you fail 7 out of 10 times. You got to be a little bit friggin' nuts. Right? I mean, it just just the way it is. Who's going to go 162 games in 181 days, okay, and just to get the shit beat out of you every single day? Yeah, you know what? I loved it, though. And I wouldn't have it any other way, and that's why we do laugh at the things that we do, and people don't understand that. But, basically, they didn't ask for any IQs. They only cared if we could play, and that's thank God for that.
Some of the other things that go on. How about some of your memories of Kangaroo Court? My favorite one is when I played with the Giants. We had Jeffrey Leonard on the team, Mr. Penitentiary Face. They fined him $50 for having a kid that looked like himself. Darren Dalton was married to the Hooters, the original Hooters owners. They fined him $50 when he got her pregnant, saying he was ruining her body. You just got that stuff, all over the place. And the worst one that we ever had, though, the Phillies, the Cardinals were coming in after the Phillies out in San Francisco, and at the time, the Phillies manager was Danny Ozark. Well, they had a bathroom in the dugout, but it was a urinal, not a toilet. Danny Ozark was about 7 years old at the time. He was not going to make it in to the clubhouse. He had to go number 2. He had to drop a deuce out there. Danny Ozark turns around and squats in the urinal and takes a dump in the urinal in the middle of the 5th inning of the game. So now nobody else on the team can go and relieve themselves of that. And it was so gross that the grounds crew would not go in and clean it afterwards. So we were the next team in. So we go in, take batting practice in front of the bathroom. Oh, no. Oh, God, what is that? And, the grounds crew would be like 20 yards away just laughing at us because knowing what we're going to run into. But just some of the things that happen spur of the moment, that's what made it worth playing. Again, Jim Leland story in Candlestick. Exactly what happened. Jimmy's got to take a dump, okay? And our trainer, our assistant trainer at the time, Dave Tumbas, basically they found a box, okay? So Jimmy goes in there and shits in a box, okay? So now in between innings, Tumbas
okay, has got the box, and he's running across the field to get to the locker room, and he's got Jim Leland's shit in it, okay? And we're all in tears. We're hoping, oh, please fall. Please fall. We want to see Humps dump out on Candlestick Field. It just, yeah.
And of course they would have a name for it. They would have had like an X in the field where he fell, like where Kennedy got shot. You know.
Yeah.
They would have that in the middle of the street where Humps dump landed. This has just been absolute. You cannot learn this stuff in a normal baseball manual. I'll tell you that much. We are the Clubhouse Show, coming to you live from Doc's Grill here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Course. We are going to turn it over to the Meatball for our every week injury report, the best report on baseball.
Okay, I don't know about that, but we'll go with it. We're going to start off taking a look at some injuries and transactions that we had going on this week. David Phelps for the Yankees going on the disabled list. He's got some elbow tendonitis. Nate McLouth, the Nationals' right shoulder inflammation. Alan Craig was traded in his first day as a left foot sprain with the Red Sox, and he's going to miss some time. Chris Perez might as well just pack it in because he sucks right now. He got some bone spurs in his right ankle right now. He's not doing shit for the Dodgers. Matt Garza gets the famed oblique strain, but that's the first real injury that the Brewers rotation has had this year. So we'll see how they kind of are able to come back from that. Brett Anderson has started for the Colorado Rockies, has a disc injury in his lower back. Brett Lawrie has a left oblique strain. He was off the DL for 1 day, had a broken finger. He came back and hurt himself again. So I don't know what's going on. That guy's pretty jacked up, so maybe you should slow down the weight training. Brett Lawrie. Jason Mott with a lower back sprain for the Cardinals. Brandon Belt, for the second time this season, is on the 7-day concussion DL. Josh Beckett has an injured left hip. Brian McCann is on the 7-day concussion DL. Adam Eaton strained his right oblique. Anibal Sanchez, a right pectoral strain. Joakim Soria with a left oblique strain. Hanley Ramirez has a strained oblique as well. Everybody this week went with the obliques. David Murphy has a right abdominal strain. Nick Swisher has some right knee soreness. And Carlos Gonzalez has a right ankle sprain for the Colorado Rockies. There you go. Some guys that were activated. Ubaldo Jimenez, Zach Putnam for the White Sox, Giovanni Soto, Kelly Johnson, Angel Pagan back for the Giants. They really needed him back in center field. Brett Lawrie was, like I said, off the DL, then right back on. Jordan Lyles is started for Colorado's back. Colin Cowgill, the outfielder for the Angels, is back from the DL. A couple of good players that were finally heading out on rehabs this week, and hopefully we get these guys back coming soon. Derek Holland, he's back on a rehab. Tim Beckham, the Rays' former first overall pick, he's going to be on the disabled list. George Springer of the Houston Astros, rookie sensation. A.J. Pollock had that broken hand. He's going to be back coming up soon. Joe Mauer, Ricky Nolasco. The Tampa Bay Rays really need Will Myers back. Andrew Kashner coming back for the San Diego Padres. Dexter Fowler and Edwin Encarnacion. Some of the transactions, Brad Penny making his way back to the major leagues. He was called up by the Marlins. The Yankees gave their unconditional release to Brian Roberts. The Cubs acquired Jacob Turner from Miami for 2 minor leaguers. The Dodgers acquired Roberto Hernandez from Philly for 2 minor leaguers. Some guys that were just cut loose. Chris Young, $7.5 million from the Mets, thrown down the shitter. He's got cut. Ernesto Frieri was DFA'd by the Pirates. Chris Jimenez was called off as our favorite list, the paternity list. He had his kid, and then as soon as he got back, they're like, see you later. He was designated for assignment. The Cubs DFA'd Nate Schierholtz. Finally, he can't hit anything. Joe Saunders signs minor league deal with the Orioles. Javier Baez was called up by the Cubs. He hit 3 homers in his first week, including 1 in his first game. The Nationals claim Matt Thornton off waivers from the Yankees. The Rays release Eric Bedard and Juan Carlos Oviedo, Leo Nunez, whatever the fuck you want to call him today. As always, you can find us on Twitter at My Clubhouse Show, at Spanky Catches, at Dave LaPointe, at Mr. Meatball Says. I did not fart once during the update. If you think that I did, well, that's one hell of an app. Thank you very much, Mrs. LaPointe.
Isn't technology? You actually farted 17 times. That's glad you guys counted. You're right. You didn't fart once.
I didn't.
17 times, Meatball.
Yeah.
The thing with Mr. Meatball, though, if he farted today, we ain't going to smell it till tomorrow, so we're pretty safe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Welcome back. Mike LaValliere, Dave LaPointe, Chris Stansberry, and a cast of 1,000 other idiots that are kind of walking around the Doc's Grill right now. But I think the wheel has fallen off the wagon, Spanky. I think we've reached our all-time low, which makes for the best show we could ever have. And, you know, I was just had to go into the bathroom and talking to one of our good fans in there, and Just realized we just did a 12-minute segment on dumps. That's not easy to do in the professional world.
That's beautiful. And since we're on the subject, one of the
one and a half segments.
Yeah, one of the nicest things that I've ever seen. We had Jason Grilly, the grilled cheese, on our show, a few weeks ago, and the cheese is let's say he's kind of like us, okay? So he takes this enormous dump, and he takes a picture of it, okay, before he flushes, okay? This is in the locker room, but it's right next to the nutrition thing, because he's just saying, okay, here's my salad, here's my corn, here's my. It was an educational thing, but those are the kinds of fun things. And thank you, Mr. Grilled Cheese, for. I wish I had the picture, but yeah, it was up in the locker room.
I'm glad you don't, actually.
And that's why we always say corn is the smartest vegetable. Oh, let's move on to some baseball stuff here. You know what? I did a little research last week heading into the postseason, looking at some of the trades, looking at what everybody's got, and kind of wrote down what a history of these pitching staffs going into the playoffs. And surprising the way you look at this. If you look at the postseason with the Detroit Tigers, and they're going to go with Price, Verlander, Scherzer, and now Porcello. And I've even got Sanchez in there. They are 14-17 lifetime in the postseason. You would think that staff would have a little bit better record in the postseason than what you're looking at right there. David Price has been terrible in the postseason.
Yeah, he's never been really, really good. And it's funny that they got Price because they kind of want that lefty. That I read somewhere that the last time the Tigers, and we realized the Tigers have been in the postseason for the last 8 years, almost every year.
Right.
The last guy, the last left-handed pitcher to start for the Tigers was Nate Robertson in Game 3 of the World Series in 2006 versus the Cardinals. So that's a long time to go without a lefty.
And that was the year he came back from injury.
Yes, and so that's a really, really long time for you would think within that 8 years that someone would have gotten a left-handed start, but no one has.
I guess I can ask you this way: if I go between the Tigers, Angels, A's, Cardinals, and Dodgers and Giants, who do you think is going to have the? I don't have the Angels because they got a bunch of rookies, so it's the A's. Who's going to have the best postseason record out of all them staffs?
I would say the Dodgers. With
Dodgers have Kershaw, Ryu, Herron, Greinke, and Beckett.
And because Beckett had that magical year in 2003, won the World Series in 2007 with the Red Sox. So I would go the Dodgers just based on that.
And Herron's a long man.
They are 13.
He doesn't see a start there.
No.
No way.
With getting Roberto Hernandez, he may not see a start the rest of the season.
Yeah, I tell you, but you just you put Kershaw in the mix, you're looking at a W.
Kershaw in the postseason is 1-3 with a 4.23 ERA. Wow. 38 innings with a 1.27 WHIP. That's surprising to me.
Wow, that is.
Josh Beckett, on the other hand, is 7-3 with a 3.07. 93 innings in the postseason. He's got an 0.94 WHIP. Wow. So Josh Beckett has, he knows how to turn it up. You go over to the A's, they don't have a lot of experience in the postseason. Their staff with Kazmir, Gray, Lester, and Samardzija are 7-7. Lester 6-4 in the postseason with a 2.11, 76 innings, 1.04 WHIP. The Cardinals of Wainwright, Lackey, Lynn, and Masterson are 16-12. That's a pretty good record right there. The Giants, Bumgarner, Lincecum, Peavy, and Vogelsong are 11-7. The best WHIP out of any pitcher that I've named in the postseason is Timmy Lincecum with a 0.87 WHIP. He's 5-2.
Yeah, but that's the Lincecum of old. Tim Lincecum is a shell of where he was whenever he was pitching.
Yeah, he got those numbers in 2010 and 12.
Yeah.
And 10 when he was the best pitcher on the planet. I'm a little shocked at Kershaw when you go over those numbers. 1-3. I know that they faced St. Louis a couple times, and St. Louis somehow kind of hits Kershaw every now and then, which is weird. They had that same situation with Randy Johnson before. They hit those big, powerful lefties, but you look at the A's. Lester has 6 wins of the 7 wins for that staff, and even in the Cardinals when they're 16-12, that's including one postseason run where Wainwright was the closer too.
Even Zach Greinke 2-2 with a 4.3. That's surprising to me. Who do you think? Out of all these pitchers, who's got the most innings in the postseason?
Lester?
No.
Beckett?
Nope. Lester's got 76. Beckett's got 93. John Lackey has got 104 innings in the postseason.
Forgot about 2002.
All right. You know what? Let's get off the John Lackey thing, okay? I'm all about what have you done for me lately. He's a pitcher for me for Spankers Crankers. He just unloaded a 9-spot on my ass this week. Sorry, John Lackey. You're not at the top of my list right now, John Lackey, jackass.
There's another guy.
Jackwagon.
I can't get a read on him. Like, this guy, by facial expression alone, shows up his teammates more than anybody I've ever seen on a baseball field. And then you talk about the guys that have played with him. They say in the clubhouse he's one of the greatest guys you can ever have.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess you got to be there. But we go back, and there are surprises there in Clayton Kershaw, the fabulous Mr. Meatball. Okay, gives me this. Clayton Kershaw is 26 years old. Okay, so I'm thinking, you know what? Sometime in the next 10 years, his numbers are going to get better. If his team can get him to the playoffs, to me, this is still a puppy and he's still learning. I think those numbers will get way better.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's going to. Last year, I don't think he was comfortable, and I think he was coming off of a little tendonitis. He was a little rusty when he got to the playoffs. I agree with you. I said earlier I thought Greinke was going to go on a tear and win the Cy Young. I think Kershaw's going to win it the next 4 years because he's just amazing.
Yeah, and he's left-handed. You're talking about a guy that's 26 years old, getting 90 wins already. I mean, this is pretty impressive. And he missed I don't know how much time this year. Here's a guy that's leading the league in a bunch of categories, and he missed time this year right out of the gates because coming out of the spring he was hurting. But
that valuable trip to Australia that we got to send our teams over to.
Yeah. Well,
what is the sense of that? There's so many things that bother me. I'm still not happy. That's how much of an old timer. This interleague play, it gives the fans a chance to see every team. You know what? I can't wait to get out there next week. Or Twins playing the Padres. Get me some tickets. I can't wait to go see that game. Boy, my career wouldn't have been fulfilled unless I saw that interleague match.
As a selfish standpoint. I wish that I could have got to see some of the ballparks that I didn't see. Whenever I went from the National League, which I spent my first bunch of years, and then went to the American League, there's some places where I wish I didn't see. Sorry for all you folks in Cleveland that were fans of the Mistake on the Lake, but that place was as bad a place as ever. What a piece of shit. I mean, that ballpark there was terrible. The clubhouse guy was terrible. The showers were terrible.
Bill Sheridan.
Yeah. Well, those are decent places to go after the game, but you didn't dare eat. This place was just horrid. There was 80,000 people there. Okay, or 80,000 room for 80,000. Played there. The game where there was about 3,000 people there. Okay. People always ask, the roar of the crowd, can you hear, it's just, when you have 50,000 people in the stands, you don't hear a thing. It's like a hum. It's like a buzz. Okay, when you have 3,000 people there, you know how many times I heard, hey, LaValliere, have another fucking mashed potato sandwich, you fat bastard. Okay? Okay, yeah.
My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, I didn't know you like mashed potato sandwiches.
Well, evidently there was one of the fans in Cleveland that thought that I did, and that was. You can hear 3,000 people a lot better. We were also there with the White Sox, so when they closed it, and there was 80,000 people there, and it was over for that place. And what an electric atmosphere! It was fabulous. And as a player, I'd love to play in front of 80,000 people. I mean, it was unbelievable, the noise. It was fabulous. We
opened up there one year, and we played opening day in front of a sellout. There was 80,000, and like you said, the next day, 2,000.
Yeah,
great, nice. I told that story about. You remember the runway from the dugout up to the clubhouse? It seemed like it was a mile and a half, like Houston. And Pagliarulo had the bad game. and he ran up the wrong light and he hit every light with his bat. So the rest of us are walking in total darkness trying to find our way up there. We're like holding hands. We got the kindergarten train going up the hallway because we can't see anything. And you just hear him motherfucking all the way up the stairs, and boom, 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 all the lights going out. So you're trying to run behind him, not get hit by the bat, so you can see where you're going.
The mistake by the lake. Where were we anyway?
Clayton Kershaw.
We were talking about the postseason staffs, and the power rankings come out, and you've got the A's, the Angels, the Tigers, the Nats, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Orioles, and the Giants. Do you see a clear-cut favor right now?
You know what? If I've got to look at a favorite, I'm big about the pitching. I still like the Dodgers. As much turmoil that they've gone through, as much unhappiness when it comes down to it, I want the studs on the bump, and that's just for me. Those guys to me win you postseason games. You know what? You're gonna have to win some 2-1 games, 1-0 game maybe. But those are the guys that they're able to do it. Whenever you're going in and facing, a team of the Matt Kemps, the Hanley Ramirez's, all these guys. Well, you know what? You're always in the back of your mind going, God, I hope they don't get hot. Yeah, they haven't, and they've been poor offensively. They've been poor, but guess what? Where are they?
Well, let's save that for coming back to our next segment. We're going to take a little break right now. We are coming to you live. We are the Clubhouse Show from Doc's Grill here at Summerfield Crossing Golf Course. Mike LaValliere, Dave LaPointe, Chris Stansberry, Julio, and Fernando nursing nothing over there. They're showing us nothing. We are going to go to the final segment with Mr. Meatball, and he's going to talk about his fantasy picks for the week.
All right. Last week I made some picks, but we didn't go on the air, so I will stick with my picks, even though that I didn't get to read them online. For pitcher, I took Felix Hernandez. I thought he was going to get 2 games, but they had some weather issues, and he got pushed back for one of his starts, so he only had 1. He upped his MLB record, 15th straight start, going at least 7 and giving up less than 2 runs. He went 8 solid for 1 earned run, 8 Ks. He's going to pitch again tomorrow instead of today, so you didn't quite get the double points that you would have gotten for King Felix. My hitter, I went Jose Abreu. He had 2 weeks where he's absolutely raking and mashing, the best hitter on the planet. Well, he heard me say that. I guess he read my sheet or whatever like that. He came back to earth a little bit. He went 6 for 24, 250 average, no home runs, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. I hope he's going to bounce back this week because that week wasn't Jose Abreu-like. He's going to hit home runs in bunches, and hopefully he'll continue. This week's, guys, I'm taking Adam Wainwright. He has 2 favorable matchups. It's not that hard of a pick, I know, but he faces the Marlins on Monday. They lead the league in strikeouts. It's going to be a lot of points that you can pick up in fantasy. Then on Sunday, he's going to be facing the Padres. They're last in the league in runs scored and last in the league in batting average. So either way, he's not going to give up a lot of runs, strike out some guys. Adam Wainwright should have a great week for the Cardinals. My hitter, I'm taking Evan Longoria. Look for him to finally get off his ass and get off this slump as he faces 2 of his favorite teams this week. He absolutely owns the Ranger pitching in his career. He has a 340 average, 10 homers, 26 RBIs, and a 742 slugging percentage career versus the Rangers. Then he goes to the Yankees, and he's going to face, he has a 299 average, 6 homers and 42 RBIs, and a 600 slugging percentage versus the Yankees. Look for Evan Longoria to get off his schneid, get some hits, and see if the Rays can somehow bounce back and maybe get within a couple of games of this wild card spot this weekend. My team this week that I'm going to take, like I said, I took Adam Wainwright. At catcher, there's not many guys that were doing much, so I'm just going to stick with Caleb Joseph. He's homered in 5 straight games coming in today. He didn't hit one today, but 4 homers, 8 RBIs last week, 375 average. He doesn't play every day in Baltimore, so he's kind of rested, so when he does play, he's been raking. Look up Caleb Joseph and see if you can get him in any of your leagues. First base, I went Adam LaRoche. 385 last week, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 7 runs scored. He has 8 career home runs versus the Mets, and he has a 333 average and a 442 on base versus the Pirates, both of the teams whom he will face this week. Daniel Murphy, the Mets, is my second baseman. He has a 414 average this past week, homer and 8 RBIs. He's all-star starting to come back into his first step for him and could actually end up leading the National League in hits this season. It doesn't hurt that he has a 327 career average versus the Nationals, whom he will face this week. Like I said, it took Longo at third. Shortstop, J.J. Hardy, 423, 2 homers and 7 RBIs, 8 runs scored. The power numbers are finally coming back around for him. He has an average just under 300 for the Yankees for his career, but 9 career home runs will make the Yankee pitchers work and make sure they pay attention to the shortstop. In the outfield, Michael Brantley quietly putting together a fantastic season. This past week, he had 379, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, 5 runs, and a steal. He has a career 328 versus the Orioles, which he will face in this week. He hasn't had much experience versus the D-backs as well, but he has limited bats for them. But the way that he's been hitting, who knows the way he's going to go. Jay Bruce in the outfield is my other guy. The Reds are trying to climb back into the division, and Bruce has been hot this week. 324, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 6 runs, 2 steals. The Reds get to face a very depleted Red Sox rotation this week. Look for Bruce to pester Pesky's pole in Boston. Alex Gordon is the outfielder. My last outfielder, he hit some spurts, and this week was a good one. 348, 3 homers, 6 RBIs as the Royals have won 7 games in a row and are now continuing to push continue to push the Tigers in the American League Central. Mushmouth, my bad. As always, Dave LaPointe, at my Clubhouse show, at Spanky Catches, at Mr. Meatball Says, for all of your up-to-date fantasy sports information. He is not. You are lying.
Crowd just getting crazy here, folks. Dave LaPointe, Mike LaValliere, Chris Stansbury back with the Clubhouse Show. Live talk, the only talk you can get like you're sitting in a real live Major League clubhouse, or that bar we used to go to after that clubhouse, and that's the kind of conversation you'd get. And we're trying to fulfill your dreams of the stuff you never heard.
No, and it's for me as a fan, getting to listen to the show. I've never got to sit in the clubhouse. I've never seen Jason Gurley's dumps on a picture. I've never seen a manager shit into a urinal, although I have thought about it a couple of times myself. But yeah, I appreciate the two of you guys giving us the insight, giving all the fans out there what they want to hear. We can all hear the stats, and we can all hear how many home runs Giancarlo Stanton hits. But to know, their dump schedule is far and away one of my life highlights.
Me and Spanky talked about this. We're pretty sure that we could not play in today's world.
Because Twitter would kill you guys.
Well, not Twitter, but TMZ would be the thing that might get me out of the league here real quick, and you'd be telling these stories, and of course they'd be taped live on the next show, and we'd be pretty famous, Spanky. I know that.
You know what? It's their loss.
Did you just hear I got heckled by one of the fans in the crowd? My 75-mile-an-hour fastball wouldn't make it in today's day and age?
I only got one thing to say. Hey, grab a fucking bat, pal. All right. Hey, we'll go outside right now. It's a little dark, okay? Hey, Hey, have you ever get hit with a 75-mile-an-hour fastball?
Still hurts.
Seriously. Everybody's out there going, yeah, 75. Hey, guess what?
It hurts. And I could, the heckler, I can honestly say I have watched him play sports. You look at the guy and you're like, okay, he's kind of in shape. He's not fat like
what?
He's not chubby like us, really. But you watch him throw a football, and and I don't know how to say this without I feel like I would be like Don Imus or somebody getting fired from my job for really describing what it looked like. I guess 2 monkeys fucking a football would be kind of the best description that I could come up with. It makes me look like Willie Mays. I'm just saying.
He's in shape like an overdone piece of pasta. You know what? Spanky, and as a pitcher, you always get ragged on, well, how many hits did you have? Listen, I had 26 more hits in the big leagues than you did, so just shut the fuck up right now, all right? There's a lot of things I've done that you didn't. If you're going to heckle me, all right, what have you done? But then we get in trouble if we do that stuff, so I'm going to end that right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back. We were talking about who we think are odds-on favorites heading into the playoff race, and Spanky's going to go with the Dodgers, and I think you're right. I think they have the best pitching staff, but I'm worried about the catching the ball and being smart with the ball.
Well, again, I've got to think.
You would agree that most games in the playoffs are going to be one-run type games, come down to the bullpen versus bullpen.
And at that, having said that, though, I still think that they've got enough veteran leadership that if they can focus and make it more about the team instead of themselves individually, I think they're going to score some runs and they will overcome their what they miss defensively. I really think. I mean, they've got
Kemp's on fire right now. If he keeps it up, if Kemp is Kemp into the playoffs, the Dodgers should run away with everything.
Well, yeah, and you know what? He's
they're not. They might not have Hanley.
But he's going to make them all better. You know, and that's what it is you know, Kemp's going to make Crawford better because you know what? These guys have huge egos, and they're going to want to try to keep up. And you know what? And that's the best way, you know, to make your team better. Get your stud playing better because he elevates everybody else.
Pardon my ignorance, but who's the shortstop now for the Dodgers with Hanley on the disabled list?
Oh, he has that really, really long.
The star from AAA, the one.
Yeah,
he's the one that had his
no,
ear bit.
and there's another guy, a Ramos, or I'll look it up. I'll get back.
Will they move Gordon to shortstop and then bring up a second baseman?
You know, I would say they got to leave D. Gordon where he is. He is having a fabulous year. You let that kid do his thing. I would tend to think they may even go into the market where they go find a shortstop that'll catch the ball. There's plenty of them out there. I mean, they're all hitting 200. You know, but it's not like there's no shortstops out there that are available. Is the Tulowitzki kind of guys available? They're probably not going to be able to land somebody like that. But I would tend to think that, you know, there's some guys out there that play good enough shortstop that will become available for them. And, yeah, to me that's something that they had a guy there the other day that committed 2 or 3 errors. Well, you know, that's not going to work. You got to have a guy, again, in that lineup. If everybody is doing what they're supposed to, nothing great, just what they're supposed to, they can hide that guy in number 8 slot in that lineup and not have any problem.
I think with the Dodgers, I think Adrian Gonzalez is hurt a little more than they're leading on, and they've started having Ethier take ground balls at first base. You know, I think for the Dodgers to be better than they are to play good team ball, I think Van Slyke has to be in that lineup someplace.
Well, yeah, Scotty, you know, he can play first. There may be a platoon situation at first where Scotty plays a little first base, Ether plays some first base. You know, but that's the thing is you're looking at these replacement guys that are quality guys. I mean,
right.
these are starters for a lot of other teams. So you know, whenever they're pretty deep, and that's why again, do they have shortcomings? Absolutely, but for me, their starting pitching is so good. I like the closer. I like Jansen. I think he's good.
Yeah, he's tough.
And offensively, I think they got plenty, you know, to overcome, you know, their defensive shortcomings. I think they can, you know, you got to figure. You got Kershaw out there, Rio out there, Greinke out there. You know, you score 4, you win. Yeah, I mean that's the way I look at it.
All right, let's go right now. Let's go to the matchups. Chris, we'll get back to your information in a second. Right now, if it ends today, St. Louis and Pittsburgh are playing the one-game play-in in Pittsburgh. Spank, we might have to find a bar and watch that together. What do you think about that?
I just happen to have one, a bar that I actually opened up in 1989. A place called the Clark Bar and Grill. The Pirate management at the time took it upon themselves to take beer out of our clubhouse.
That was nice of them.
Yeah. And so what do I do to combat that? I'm not going to sneak it in there. I'm going to open up a bar 100 yards away from our clubhouse, and it's still open to this day. They've moved Three Rivers, no longer there. But
did Boomer's close, or is Boomer still open?
Yeah, no, that one morphed into the Clark Bar and Grill.
Oh, that's okay.
And yeah, we're in a little different spot. We're not too far away from PNC. You know, again, you know, a block or two away. Where, you know, Three Rivers we're 100 yards, but. Yeah, I got a place for us.
The best record in the National League belongs to?
I have it right here.
Dodgers right now, right?
Is it the Dodgers?
So the one-game playoff, say Pittsburgh's going to be favored at home to take that. They play good against the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, I know, but they don't hit Wainwright very well.
Well, you got to look at these races right now. Wainwright's probably going to be pitching that last weekend to make sure they get that second wild card.
It may come down to that.
So Pittsburgh will be going out to play the Dodgers, and the Brewers will be playing against the Nationals.
I don't have the Brewers making it.
Period. That's going to have to be they got a 3.5 game lead right now, right?
Yeah, I've got them faltering. I don't think that they have enough pitching.
The Garza injury.
No, I got to go back. Yeah. I was saying if the season ended today.
Okay. All right. So we're not
Brewers
predicting.
and Nationals. You got a one game. You're going to have Strasburg pitching against Gallardo.
Yeah, probably Gallardo.
Garza's hurt, so it's probably going to be. I got to go with the Nationals in that one.
Yeah.
Then you go Dodgers. They're going to be able to outpitch Pittsburgh, so you go Dodgers Nationals. And as you say right now, those pitching staffs. Although I have my preseason picks have the Nationals winning everything. Right now, the Dodgers staff is they're playing too well. They wouldn't be able to compete. American League, we'd have the one game play-in, the Angels against the Royals. And it'd be big game. James probably
versus Richards
against Richards. Wow, Richards is tough.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. I would have to say if the game's played in L.A., maybe advantage Angels. If it's played in Kansas City,
and they're 5.5 up, so it's
advantage
in L.A.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know what? It's a tough call, but the Royals have hung tough.
The winner of that would play the A's, and then the Orioles would be facing off against
Tigers.
The Tigers. Tigers got a roll in that one.
Yeah, I got to think. Again, the Orioles to me have been surprising. They played incredibly well.
They've actually got the biggest lead of any team in baseball right now in their division. But when you talk about the Orioles, there's just nothing there that makes you feel like they are a world championship team.
It's all offense. I mean, they're winning every game 6-5, 7-6. When you have to go through Adam Jones, Nelson Cruz, and I know Crush Davis is having a down year, but he's still got 20 homers. Then J.J. Hardy. Guys like and then like I said, then this catcher Caleb Joseph out of nowhere, 5 homers in 5 straight games. This team, Mark Kakis is actually hitting the ball again from the leadoff spot. This whole team rounded out offensively is fantastic, but does Wei-Yin Chen scare you in Game 1? I mean,
Chen's been hot as a firecracker.
He's hot as a firecracker, but if you're the Detroit Tigers offense going to play Baltimore, looking at it, are you scared of him? I mean, no. There's nobody really out there that you're scared of on the Orioles staff.
Orioles have this latest run of guys that keep showing up in the playoffs. They've got Delman Young.
Yeah. Everyone wanted to call him a bad guy.
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
He always has a great playoff.
The Eric Hinsky syndrome is what I like
to call it.
He's
a new Eric Hinsky. Eric Hinsky does not look good coaching first base with the Cubs.
No, he makes us look like slim fast models.
Absolutely. He looked good with those socks that they pulled up to his knees. It's another thing that we were talking about at last conversation this week. The Chicago Cubs will never win a championship. Strictly for the fact that they got all these great young players coming up. They look like they're good. You cannot play that many day games and be a strong team. As like the Colorado Rockies, I don't think will ever win a championship because is a good pitcher ever going to sign with the Colorado Rockies? That pitcher that's going to take you over the top.
Clayton Kershaw is not going. If he's a free agent, will never consider that place.
Why would you? I mean, as a pitcher, there are a few places that I'd go and I'd look at and go, out, no chance. I'm not going to pitch at Coors Field. I don't care how good my stuff is. Wrigley Field, yeah, I'd pitch there in April and in September whenever the wind's howling in and it's 37 degrees. But I tell you one thing, right now, you get that wind blowing out. I don't care how good you are. I mean, it's just a little 300-foot fly ball, about 150 feet more than our pal Meatball can hit it. Ends up in the basket. I've caught those games where it's tough, and as a pitcher, I don't know. Those are the places that, again, I would think that Fenway would be really tough if I was a left-handed pitcher. That'd be a tough place for me to pitch, depending on what kind of pitcher I am.
Actually, it's not. If say you have a good changeup, it's not because the hitters are over aggressive there. If you're just a sinker slider guy, you're going to have a tough time in Fenway. But I pitched in Colorado for a little bit, and I was out in Denver for a year and pitched in the AAA in Colorado Springs, and that actually it had so much of an effect on your breaking ball. It did not break the way it was supposed to. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm sure I'm not a physics major, But would Clayton Kershaw be a 500 pitcher if he pitched in Colorado?
I'm not sure because he's so good. But I know exactly what you're saying. Whenever I was in AAA, the Denver Zephyrs were there. We played at Mile High Stadium, and the guys didn't have the same breaking ball. It doesn't break as much. It's something to do with friction, and the seams are not able to grab the air. That's what happens. And so now the seams are spinning, but they're not grabbing the air because it's so thin. You're up at over 5,000 foot altitude, so the ball just will not grab the air, and it won't spin. So there's some things there that, as a pitcher, you've got to make some adjustments. I know at Candlestick Park, guys had better split fingers there than they had anywhere else, and we'd face a guy, a Scotty Geraltz or a Kelly Downs, a Candlestick, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. We'd see him a week later at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. It's like, well, this guy's split ain't that good. There's certain places that, again, the whole thing about your atmosphere, your ballpark. There's no way.
The only pitcher, their
quiet.
number one draft way back when was a pitcher named Billy Swift, who had, the sinker from hell. This guy could throw it all day long and he was a good pitcher in Colorado. Why would you not be going out there? All right, every one of you scouts, search baseball and get the best sinkers in baseball. Get that shot put sinker, Rick Russell's sinker, and that's the only way we're going to be able to win in Colorado. And then I've got to throw great defense behind them to cut the balls off in the gap. The way the Cardinals and Whitey Ball won back in the 80s, we were faster than everybody else. We cut off more runs than any other team, so that's why we won. We didn't drive in runs, we cut them off. And I think that's what you'd have to have in Colorado. There's no answer for the Cubs. There's no way you get up that early in the day, every day, and then expect to play baseball. It's just not going to happen.
And just thinking about it as somebody looking on the inside, there have been several decent players that have signed in Colorado and made these deals. Mike Hampton was arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball. Signed that $15-20 million deal to go to Colorado, and the only thing that Mike Hampton did there was hit 8 home runs in one season. That's his claim to fame in Colorado. Darryl Kyle was fantastic in Houston, fantastic in St. Louis when he left, and horse shit in Colorado. Is there really anybody that's had a phenomenal pitching season?
I don't know too much about De La Rosa is one of their pitchers out there who seems to be having a
And I think that guy's a Cy Young candidate if you put him on another team, and he doesn't have to pitch 20 of his starts in Colorado.
But how do we get around the Chicago thing?
You don't.
How do we? We get up every day at 6 o'clock, fight traffic, go in to play at Wrigley Field, and and every team that comes in to play the Cubs, they hate the Cubs because they hate getting up that early in the day.
And then the problem is that when the game's over at 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. You're going to walk across the street and you're going to get shit-faced at Harry Carey's. You're going to get drunk at the bars. Then you're going to get home about 10. You're going to look at me like, oh, shit, I got to be up at 5 to be at the ballpark at 7.
You never went to Harry Carey's. The beer was too much. There's a lot of other good places.
Except for in 88 when it was free for the first 23 games until they won a game. But so
Spanky, maybe we should write a book about the greatest hot spots after a game of where you can go real quick and.
A couple places in Chicago that, the Lodge, Elliot's Nest, a couple places that were just nice, quiet little places. Or a couple of regular guys. Huh?
You ever go to the Cubby Bear?
No,
I just
not that I know of. Of course, I probably
Cubby Bear sucks.
And now that I come to think about it, I probably have been in all those places.
The Cubby Bear I went in. First of all, you walk in across the street from Wrigley Field. There's no old style at the Cubby Bear. You're catty corner.
Oh my God, no old style.
Old style blows, but
it's
the Chicago beer. But it's $6.50 for a Bud. It's $6.50 for a Bud Light, and it's 16-ounce bottle. Limited bottles. And I know you want to make fun.
Listen to the beer vendor.
Listen to the guy
that's charging $8 for a beer at Tropicana Field. Meatball, you bastard.
I know that I make the prices. My last name, we call me Stansby on here, but my name is actually Christopher Sternberg. I'm actually the owner of the Rays, and I actually set the prices at the Trop so that I can fuck over my friends when they come in and charge them $33 for 2 IPAs and an Ultra. But no big deal. I'll see you there later, guys. But, the Cubby Bear, $6.50 for a bar. You're not at a ballpark. It's the same fucking price at Cubby Bear. You can walk across, get a ticket, at Wrigley Field, watch baseball, and pay the same goddamn price that you could pay for a beer at the Cubby Bear.
Those bars across the street in Yankee Stadium are $9, $10, $11 a beer. So you could probably work there.
And I think that one time I ate at the McDonald's across from Yankee Stadium, and I was like $13 for a Big Mac, I think. So I completely I know what you're coming from there.
That's what they always said. You know, when I first got called up, we got $57 a day meal money. And I said, what am I going to do with $57 a day? You know, I'm going to have $50 to spend on beer after I eat the first 7. And then you stay at the Grand Hyatt in New York, and an English muffin and the orange juice was $13. Oh, maybe I know.
Hey, that Hojo's across the street? Yeah, I ate there for breakfast. Are you kidding me? I made that mistake. I get up one day, early, and I'm going to have a good breakfast. And yeah, 2 eggs, and some sausage, home fries, glass of orange juice, $27. I went, are you... No. This isn't my ticket. I only had 2 eggs.
That's a family of 4.
I only had 2 eggs, and this is back in the early 90s or even late 80s. I'm like, $27. Is there a delivery charge? I mean, is this tip included? Here I am, 30 something bucks later. I'm going, this is going to stay in my system another couple hours, and I just rented that.
No lunch.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We want to thank everybody here at Doc's Grill for letting us have the show. This was our last show from here. Thanks Jason Blanchard and Charlotte for putting up with us all these weeks. Gentlemen, another great show. I appreciate it. Mike LaValle, Chris Stansberry, Julio, Fernando, another great show. We are the Clubhouse Show, and we thank you for listening to us. We'll be back hopefully again next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about Major League Baseball. We're out of here.